Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're joining from. So, I have one very quick question for you. Have you often had the opportunity to look at a solar project from behind the scene and understand what was going into the mind of those engineers when they were designing this project? I'm sure you can see the beautiful project that we have out there, and I presented that to you on Wednesday. And what I promised to you is that we're going to have the opportunity just to go down, understand how engineers were actually looking at that, how they handle it. And this is what we're going to be talking about today, right? And I have two magnificent people that will give us more information, as much as you can think of, right? Today is the day you find out about what is it like to be a solar engineer and tackle such a project. But before I go into that, let me first of all introduce myself. My name is Tony Tio. I'm the founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa. And this channel is very, very simple for us. We just want to demystify the renewable energy sector for you so that it makes it seamless and easy for you to connect. Whether you're an investor, you say, I have a lot of money, I like to pour that in the sector, but I just don't have enough information to feel comfortable. I'm here to make sure that you can feel as comfortable as possible, right? And that's what we're doing. Or maybe you may be telling me, I have a business just like this customer, saying that I want to go solar. I'm just not sure if it's the right thing to do for me. So how can I get some information so I can appease my saying? We are here to give you all the information you're looking for. Or maybe you may be saying, hey, I want to go into solar. I want to go into renewables energy because I can see it is the future. It is also the present. And I like to make sure that I have the future family. Do not worry. And here is where you will get as much information as you can even dream of, right? And we're going to make it simple for you. But what I'm asking you to do is very simple. 3 things essentially I want you to do. The first, number one thing, I want you to connect to all our platforms. Why am I saying all our platforms? Simply because today and other day, we're actually broadcasting from 5 channels. So we have LinkedIn, we have YouTube, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, and we have Telegram. So I'm sure you definitely are connected to one of those platforms. So make sure that you look for Renewables in Africa and you connect, right? And the second thing I want you to do, just give us a comment, leave us a comment. And today, we're having an interview with 2 fantastic people. I want you to ask the question that you're thinking about. Don't just leave it and say, I'm going to ask later, unless you're watching this later, obviously, and when we're not around. But if you're here, ask your question. And also beyond that, just tell us, what are you thinking about the live that we're running? Because we're doing it for you. We want to make sure that we make it seamless and easy for you to connect with the industry. This is why we're having today a real project that you can talk about. Give us your opinion. What are you thinking about that? What is your comment, right? And I can promise one thing, we will respond to every question. There is no stupid question. All questions are welcome, right? And I ask you, and I tell you one thing, if you ask a question, I promise you, there's somebody somewhere on this planet who had exactly the same question. That's what I'm saying. Come forward and we'll respond to that. And the last thing, if you happen to be watching it right now, please share. Why am I saying that? Because there are many people that have questions that could be answered in this platform right now. So share that if you're looking at me. That's the one thing I can ask you, right? Share that. You may not want to be one of our customers, that's fine, but at least you can share, right? We would appreciate that. Share that and that would be good. And also, if you happen to watch it not live, and you can see, I still want you to be sharing this, right? Excellent. And if you can do that, that's great. Now, let's come back into the project. On Wednesday, I presented this fantastic project for you, right? Which is a solar project for a retail bank, Capitec. That's the one I talked about, right? And what I say is, normally I know people will come back to me sometimes. They have a lot of questions, right? They're asking themselves, is this industry can give me what I need? I'm having like a heavy industry, or maybe I'm running a very busy company. I can't afford not to have power. I want to decarbonize, but at the same time, I don't know if solar can really give it to me. So I presented the project for you, and let me just show you what it is so that you can, again, remind yourself of what it's all about. So that's what the detail of the system, right? So it's a 700 kilowatt rooftop solar system with a 500 kilowatt hour battery. Obviously, we're still using the generator for the client, a management system just to make sure everything is in sync. And as you can see, the yield is quite significant, more than a million kilowatt hour for the first year, right? And this is what we're going to be talking about and also show some pictures, right? So just as a reminder for people that were not here with us last time, look at that. That's a fantastic, that's a top-down view. We could see how all the panel was actually spread across, and that's just one. I don't want to give you too much information actually, because I'm sure the team will be able to give it much. I'm just going to run through that very quickly because those are superb pictures, and that actually show you how. Look at that. That's the second building, if I'm correct, right? You can see how beautiful all of this is looking, right? And this is what we're going to be talking about. I want to find out, for me, for example, how did they manage to have this layout the way he was there, right? Did they have enough roof space? Did they have to use another part of the building? This is what we want to be finding out here, right? And that's what we're going to be talking. And that's it. We're probably going to have a chance to come back to those pictures as we're speaking. But for the time being, let me just stop here. I promise you, I'm going to come back and ask and show some more pictures there. But for the time being, what I want to do right now, I want to bring forward, like I say, two of the engineers of IMPower. This is a company actually did that super beautiful project. I want to bring them forward, and I'd like to start having this conversation with you. So let me just welcome to our platform Robin Roots, and then I also have Bram Snyman. Bram, how are you? Can you hear me well, by the way?
Hi Tony, yes.
Excellent. Hey Bram, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well, Tony.
Oh, excellent. So let me just, first of all, I know I have a bit of the music for us here just to feel relaxed and cool. But let me just stop the music right now so I can make sure that everybody can properly understand us, right? So let me do that right now. Okay, I think the sound is even better, right? Am I correct?
That's it.
Yes.
Excellent. So Robin, if I can start with you, because I'm a gentleman, right? So Bram, I'm sure you wouldn't mind me doing that. So Robin, if you can please very quickly introduce yourself so that we can get to know who you are.
So hello everyone, my name is Robin Rue. I'm the solar design engineer that works at IMPower, and I ran the design part of this project for Capitec.
Excellent, excellent. That's fine. And what about you, Bram?
So, Tony, firstly, thanks for having both me and Robin on the show. So I'm Bram Stamman. I'm the business developer that ran the tender process for Capitec when we designed the solution, with Robin obviously doing the design that we submitted.
Okay, excellent. So Robin was the brain for the technical part of the other project here. Okay, that's fine. I like it. I love it. let me and like I said, so I have approached your company because I I got aware of this project and I thought that was actually quite interesting for the many reasons that you're gonna lay out to us just in a minute. But I thought rather than just presenting like I did on Wednesday, I want to go deeper. And why do I want to do it? Because I'm sure there's many other potential customers there, many other banks, many other industries that may be thinking about doing the same thing. They just don't know whether that's the right thing for them. They're a little bit hesitant. That's why I wanted us to drill down a little bit so you can give us some of those insights so that they can better understand. So first of all, let me ask by these hopefully very simple questions, right? So what made the design of this solution so special? Maybe Robin, you can give us the answer there.
Oh, thanks, Tony. It is a simple question. I think there's a lot of thought that went into it from a commercial perspective as well as a design perspective. But one of the first things is that the fact that you had two buildings, you had two roofs, both with different aspects, and our client was very specific with the way that you were, able to put your mounting structures and your panels and everything on top of this. So you basically had to kind of mold your solution around what was already on top of the roof. I think on the one next to you or at the back of you, you can see there's massive chillers and ice plants. Yeah, on the one with all the angles, you can see that there's actually an HVAC system on there. Yeah, on the left-hand side. Okay. Do you have one from the top?
Okay, yeah. Let me see.
Yes. So you can see like there's equipment on there that is part of the heating and ventilation and air conditioning system for that building. So you had to kind of move around there, and also the fact that you had like different angles. It was definitely something to work with because you had a lot of different azimuths to play with and had to take into consideration. So that was definitely one. But the technology available for mounting structures are actually amazing, and it gives us the opportunity to make sure that we can cover and use all of these angles, and that the different angles doesn't pose a obstacle to us. So that was definitely something. And also on the other roof, the parking lot, you'll see that the panels are not actually facing north. They are facing east and west, like an A-frame. And the reason we did that was the fact that you could actually, gather not just your northern sun, but you have a little bit more of a solar curve that will benefit east in the morning and west in the afternoon. So your spread of your solar production or yield, was optimized to be a little bit more like a larger curve rather than just having a very big peak north at 12 in the day. So that was something that we kind of aimed at from a solar perspective. And I think it was quite special in the sense that our suppliers were, able to give us this flexibility, and the technology available gives us this. Yeah.
Excellent. That's great. So definitely, I could see there was a number of challenges that you had to go through, and obviously, you managed to tackle that. And let me ask another quick question. So normally, because that's the kind of experience I'm also seeing, also being a developer. I know when you sometimes talking to clients, they have a vague idea what they want, but it's not always clear. So for these kind of clients, especially we're talking about a bank, and we know how important it is because I can't imagine the bank going without power, right? So there'd be a big issue. So for this particular client, so did you manage to easily transcribe what they wanted into technical requirements, or was it a challenge there as well?
I think Brahm can start us off talking about how we debriefed our tender before we even, when we met and so on.
Yeah, Bram.
Oh, thanks, Robert. So this project went out to tender, and normally on a tender you struggle because you're not there to really manage the client's expectations, because essentially that's what you're doing, right? The client's got this. They're sitting around the barbecue here in South Africa having what we call a braai, and everybody's talking about latest batteries, and they saw solar panels floating on a dam somewhere producing energy for farmers. And they see all these things and they talk about it, and they want a project that is just as amazing. So after we were picked as preferred bidders for this project, we pulled the client a little bit closer, and that allowed us to really, create multiple iterations of designs to make sure that the client comes with us on the journey. And that helped us manage their expectations and them also to really convey to us what they want with the solution and what they want from the system. And it was a very nice, I guess, you can almost call it like innovation, where we gave our inputs, the client gave their inputs to, at the end of the day, make sure that there's no buyer's remorse and that this project works exactly like we promised and exactly as they envisioned the project would roll out.
Excellent. That's fine then. So it makes it even more impressive. So that means clearly there was a tender there, and you were the per bidders, and actually that's why you won and you go on and do this project, right? So that's what. And you mind me asking, if it's not obviously secret information, so how many candidates were there for this bid, roughly, or do you have an idea? I just want to make sure how many people you beat.
No, there were quite a few other EPCs. The exact number I'm not sure, but it's between 5 and 10 other well-established EPCs. And for us, it was great being picked as the preferred bidders. But like I said, the tender or the design that we submitted initially was far from the design that we ended up installing. And it was because the client was very approachable and wanted to make sure that we really design something that's a bespoke product for Capitec.
Excellent. That's fine. That's great. Definitely shows you the quality of the work that you've done, because I know that this client, as we're talking about, this is a Capitec, and if I'm correct, that's if not the largest, because one of the largest retail bank in the country, and probably also in the continent, and large as well digital bank. So that's definitely quite good. So if I come back to you, Robin, because the reason as well, me personally, I also found it quite interesting, this project, is because I know the battery system that you use is different than the traditional one that we use, right? It was kind of a little bit special in here. So I wonder whether you can give us some more insight there as to why
Yeah.
was it also specific, the battery system here.
So usually when you know, talk to clients or you talk to people and you talk about batteries, they usually go on about the fact that it gives you the reliability of energy when, you know, the power is cut or we have load shedding or so. But in this case, the building that we had and the generator actually available was quite large for the amount of people. So the capacity of the building usually runs less than what the generator can actually supply. And in that case, you waste a lot of diesel, because when the generator has to run, there is a load cell that ramps up the load to about 30% of its capacity, just using heat that it blows out. And to overcome that type of inefficiency, the battery is actually used as storage, so that you can increase the load. So your battery will charge during load shedding instead of being used during load shedding for backup, so that the generator can actually supply the load and be above its 30% mark. So you charge your battery, and then after load shedding, you can actually use that power instead of, you know, wasting it as heat. So that was one of the many flexibilities that we had to look after. So instead of using, you know, storage for a full storage solution for such a large building, which we know storage technology is not yet really cheap, in a sense that you can just put it in for one reason. You know, the storage capacity actually had more than one ability. So when it is not busy storing any energy from the generator, what it is doing, it will be discharging this energy using the time of use, which was only made available with the municipality of Stellenbosch, that actually, you know, has a very nice tariff for people to feed back into their grid, in a sense that, you know, during peak times you get more rand per kilowatt than your off-peak times. And this made it available for us to energy arbitrage, so that we can play around with when we actually dispatch this energy, and if the building isn't using it. Yeah. So that was one way of kind of using your storage as a financial asset, in that sense. Yeah. And hedging energy, and then, you know, using it, buying in the dip and then using it when it's high or something similar like that. Yeah. And that's actually what made it quite special, because of the way that you can actually use your communications and your management system to be set up this way. And then something else that also I would like to mention in this is the fact that our suppliers that we used is a local supplier, which I think is very important in Africa and in South Africa.
Yes.
Because I feel that it is important for us to play a part in advancing the technology in South Africa. especially with the renewable sector. It's such a new sector, so we need to mold and we need to nurture and we need to, use these and use these brands that are available in South Africa as well to do things like this, like this type of project with clients that are open to innovative and technology available in the country. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for that. So, how long did it take for you to design it? Because the way you described it to me, it looked like clearly there was a more than one assumption that needed to be verified there. So, how long did it take to design it? Oh, and before you respond to that, let me just say I know some people are watching us live, which I'm very very much glad to hear. Please, guys, I know some of you have been sending me some message already. So on my private private inbox, please. So drop your question here because I just want to see if the team here is also is able to answer, because that's the main reason we're having this conversation, because I can go and talk to them. I'm already connected with them, but I'm here just to allow you as well to put your question forward, and then I'm sure Bram and Robin will be delighted to respond. So go back to you, Robin. So we were talking about the time it took to design such a system for you and your team, because obviously it wasn't just you on your own, because I think you IMPower, you have a fantastic team, a whole team of designers. So how long did it take you to come up with a design you were comfortable to go and implement for this project?
I think, Tony, like when you mentioned that, I was about to mention my team. I don't think it is possible to do anything related to flexibility and dynamic as this without a team. So it definitely falls on the whole IMPower. I think it is, very important to have people on all aspects so that the ball is not dropped halfway through somewhere. So it is with regards to a very good project management team, installers, sub-suppliers, business development. We have very good support that works with us, and I think it is really important to remember when you do design stuff like this, how important it is to trust your team when you go through this process. I actually can't tell you how long it took me to design this, because it has been molded in my ear since the beginning of this tender, which I think Bram mentioned to me was in February. And like he mentioned, the design changed. I think the initial tender was for one of those roofs. We ended up doing both, and there were things that needed to change, and people were like, yeah, we can do this, and maybe we should, so it was, I think the design process kind of like ebb and flowed throughout, but the main thing finished, Bram, I think you can answer that, just maybe halfway through negotiations.
Yes, Bram, help
or
us,
something
please.
like that. Yeah.
So the tender process started in June. While the tender documents were sent out at the end of last year, and we submitted to the middle of Feb. But then there were multiple iterations. Like I said, we pulled the client closer to make sure that we create a system that is bespoke for Capitec. And that then carried from, I think it was middle Feb up until the end of March, before we got to the final solution that we submitted and then later installed. And then when we installed it, there was a bit of a delay just for long lead items. But once we broke ground, it was 80 working days and the system was up and running. That installation and implementation phase was only so short, which is a relatively short amount of time considering the complexity of this design, because we have a project management team that had ticked all the boxes, made sure everything was in place, a procurement team that sometimes pushes on suppliers when they don't really want to be pushed on to make sure that everything's there for the project managers. And Robin also working with them to make sure that what she designed is what's actually implemented on site.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Definitely, I must say, being in the sector, so 80 days just to build it, that's very, very fast, looking at the complexity. Because it does look like a project that is particularly complex. So very quick question before moving to something else. I guess the client is still using their own generators, right? So I'm just wondering, so how much of a time they're not using it? So I just want to find out how much did you cut down the use of generators? Very important question, because we are at the time and age whereby inflation is going off the roof. Obviously, we have an energy crisis. So I'm sure one of the key I would say, incentive as well for the company, why reducing the reliance on the grid. They also probably wanted to reduce the reliance on the diesel generator. So how much did you cut it down to, roughly?
Well, I think the important thing is here, Tony, they will still be using their generator. The generator has to run at a minimum load 30% of its generated capacity. Now, what we did is Robin integrated it so that the generator can charge the battery as opposed to use that load cell. The load cell essentially is a big toaster. It's Robin named it that because essentially that's what it is. It's got a bunch of hot elements that you see in your toaster, and it just blows off energy to make sure that the generator doesn't get damaged. And Robin, the amazing engineer that she is, thought that, okay, well, we'll use the battery instead of the load cell. So the amount of times that they'll be using the generator will still be the same, but they will not be using their toaster. And instead, they'll be charging the battery, and that energy they then can sell back to the municipality at a very attractive rate. And that then reduced the payback period.
Okay.
Well, actually, we didn't even calculate that, factor that into the payback period, because what do we base it on? What's it going to be? Stage 4 load shedding, stage 3 load shedding? We really don't know. So we can't really put that in stone. Instead, we just made sure that we factored in for the energy arbitrage, which we could model for, and the daylight hours that we know the amounts of based on 20-year averages.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and actually leads me to another quick question that I had was because I know achieving the best solution from energy perspective is not always the same from the economic perspective, and I just wanted to know, for this project in particular, for sure, and as a company in general, how do you actually strike the balance between the two, right? Because I think there's a different approach here that one can have.
Yeah, well, I think that's the nice thing about how our company is set up, right? We've got engineers like Robin who designs these amazing systems, and then you've got also business developers like myself that have to go sell them. So sometimes the engineering and the business development team butt heads a little bit because the business development team needs to sell these things with a short payback period and with a low capex, and the engineering team wants to do a little bit more development. But it essentially comes down to our teams working well together, making sure that it makes sense relative to our competitors and what we know is happening in the industry at the moment. If you're not getting a four-year payback period, then maybe you are not or over paneling or creating a system that's not specific to the client's loads. If you're talking about commercial and industrial clients, they're mainly running when the sun's shining. So they're capturing all the value from the solar system. So it's about fine-tuning your customer base, knowing the load profiles that are very suitable for solar, and then making sure that you sell to those customers. Then it becomes an easy job. But if you want to sell in the residential space, then it becomes hard to make it financially an easy decision for your customer, because essentially when the sun's shining, they're not at home.
Excellent. No, that I absolutely will. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I would like
Robin?
to answer that. As a designer, I don't usually like to look at costs. It's not something that, it's something that comes last on my list when I choose something. And I think it's just because of the way I am. But also, there's a fine balance when you take a risk and when you use new technology to get ahead of the curve. I think it is really important to kind of do your research and your development in your company. Don't lose it. Don't stick to one thing and think that's, it, because this industry is moving really, really fast and the technology available is absolutely amazing. So as an EPC, we like to take calculated risks. And I think that's where the balance between what you're saying, the economic benefit versus the technological benefit reaches one another. And if you understand the business development and as I should understand the business development part and the costs so much, they do understand the engineering And that is where you get that fine line between the two specialized fields. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. So let me just ask a couple of very quick questions here before we wrap up. I know you are. Oh, I can see somebody just drop a question. Thank you. I'm very happy to see that, and that's the time as well for me to say, if there's anybody online watching, you know, there's some people watching on. I've just seen it on YouTube, but also Facebook and LinkedIn. Definitely do drop me a question. So while the team is here, and I'm sure they'd be happy to respond to that. But back to you, Robin and Bram. I just wanted to say, I know you are very strong in South African market, and I would say Southern Africa. You're also looking at that. So, but do you have any interest beyond those? I would say those natural market that you have, and for example, going in other places in the continent, or who knows, maybe also outside the continent. Maybe
Yeah, I
Bram,
think
because I know
I can jump on that one,
you are
Tony. When
business development and money man.
when I joined IMPower, that was actually one of my first tasks to look at other markets in Africa specifically. I think the renewable space in Europe and all these other countries will definitely not go there, but we looked into Africa. But there is a risk going to these other countries. We considered it, but at the moment, the policies are so attractive in South Africa, like Robin touched on briefly. Stellenbosch municipality has got a very attractive policy that incentivizes embedded generation and wants people to install solar. The same thing for the city of Cape Town, the same thing for multiple other municipalities, as well as Eskom, our main supplier. So the policies are just so attractive here at the moment, and focusing on different markets in Africa is not maybe our focus at this point in time. But once the opportunity comes on that is too attractive for us to let go, we'll obviously jump on it and tackle it head on. But at the moment, we're focusing on the South African market. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That this is very clear. And in fact, as we were talking, there's a lady here who was asking. So obviously, she's enjoying the insight that we've been providing here, and she wanted to know so if we can share the detail of the organization. So definitely, I'm sure you're gonna be doing that. This is Robin and Bram working for IMPower. So definitely feel free to reach out, and we'll share that, and also we'll share that when I respond to this comment. So, couple of questions quick for you. So, I wanted to know what I know the particularity of this year is we're gonna have yet again another cup, African soil, in Egypt, and going there, it's important that some of the champions of our industries, strong companies, be it developers, EPCs, manufacturers, it's good as well for them to be present there and to represent the renewable energy sector, which is not always well represented. I just wanted to know whether you would take an interest at COP27. Would one of you maybe travel there? So it's just an open question.
Is Jay Naidu watching? Jay, it sounds amazing. I actually didn't know about COP until you mentioned it to me, Tony. I do think these kind of things are quite interesting from my perspective for research and to see what type of technology is out there. I can't tell you about traveling there, and because we're quite busy at the moment, so might be caught up in commissioning some of the sites that we're busy with at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, which I can understand. Is that the same for you, Bram, or? Because you must be traveling a little bit more, right, Bram? If you're doing business development, including inside Africa, South Africa.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm traveling a lot more than Robin is. She's churning out designs, sending them to me on site to present to clients. But yeah, traveling, like I said earlier, we're focusing in South Africa at the moment, and the market's hot at the moment. People are really loving solar, and solar is saving companies so much money and giving them reliable supply of energy. So at the moment, we're just focusing on making sure that we get to customers in South Africa who really need the energy at this time. To be honest, I'm not even thinking after next week. I'm just trying to make sure that I get through every week and get to all the clients that really need solar here in South Africa.
Excellent. No, I can understand it. And last question for you. So obviously, if you have final word, feel free to share that. But my last question was obviously to share. I'm sure there are people that are watching right now that will be watching afterwards. So they'll be keen, for example, like Miss Nan, who actually shared it. By the way, Miss Nan, thank you for your questions. So they may be interested having your details. So what's the best way to reach out to IMPower to you guys?
Well, I think simply just dropping us an email is the best way to start. Checking out our website. It's simple, impower.solar. And all our information is on the website. We're also on LinkedIn. You can connect with us there. It's really easy. If you'd like specifically my or Robert's details, simple, brom@impower.solar and robin@impower.solar. Just reach out to us and we'll be happy to start a conversation.
Excellent. Any final word for you, Robin?
I actually think I just wanted to thank you and to say that I think the African market, has a specific niche for this type of control of energy and taking back our energy needs into our own hands. So I do think that it is a good initiative that your renewables in Africa is doing. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So, Bram and Robin, was a pleasure to have you both. And I know, as I say, getting you to come on a Sunday to participate in our show is not something that people will easily do. But I enjoy the fact that all the time when I reach out to people, they are very keen to do it. So I didn't have any other immediate questions, but I'm sure they will come. So, Miss Nan, what I told you before, obviously, what we're going to do is Bram and Robin to share the detail of the company already, IMPower or impower.solar. You can find them, but you can also reach out to them directly or even reaching out to me in particular, because I have a gentleman who already reached out to me and we can respond to that. So if there is any question, any last question that somebody had to ask and then didn't have the time to do it, now's the time to do it. So if not, so you can always drop us an email. You can always respond to the comment below. Let us know what you thought about the interview. Let us know what you know, whether you want to get in touch with IMPower, whether you want to pass on a specific message, and we'll make sure that we will do so. So as for us, as you know, we're going to see you again next week. And next week, I'm going to see you on Wednesday for another topic that we're going to be covering, and that will be great. And I'm sure that you'll be obviously joining. But beyond that, we're also going to meet on Friday. And Friday, we're talking about renewables and money. So it's a new show that we actually brought together just to talk about the business of running a renewable energy business, because a lot of people watching don't know how to make money in the sector. You can see a company like IMPower, they're doing great, but I'm sure they've gone through some challenges. We are here to show you what are the steps. First of all, learning from our own experience and learning from other people's experience. But in between then, I'm hoping that you did enjoy the interview today and you learned a few things from that. One thing I'm going to ask you again to do: subscribe to our channel, to our LinkedIn, to our YouTube, to our Facebook, to our Twitter, to our Telegram. Drop a message, drop a comment, share, especially if you liked this episode. And I'll be delighted to bring forward again some other topic. And also, if you have any particular topic that you want us to discuss with you, so let us know and we can look at that. For us, it's always a pleasure and a delight to come on a Sunday to engage with you and to cover our sector. Between now and then, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to talk to you. And like I usually say, may the sun be with you. I'm gone. Get better. Bye-bye.